not being able to achieve what you want to achieve. And then what does that look like? What does failure look like? It may take you into other avenues of life. It may take you into the unexpected, maybe turn you onto something that you never would have thought to pursue before. But ultimately, it's fear of failure. So when I was growing up, I wanted to be a film director. And when I went to college to study that. And then life just got in the way and I didn't really pursue it. Went into publishing instead and got my first job out of college in publishing and did that for a few years until I had bills to pay and, you know, wanted to live my young adult life, and I never pursued it. I just found some administrative jobs that I knew I could do, and I've been doing that for the last 30 years.
Did anything deter you from the film industry?
I knew I would have to do it from New York or California at the time.
Okay.
And that was going to be a difficult transition for me.
Okay.
I was living in Baltimore by myself and I had friends, but I didn't really have an ingrained support system. And I was very much afraid at the time to make the jump to pursuing that goal in New York and California.
What part of the film industry were you really interested in? Producing?
Casting.
Casting.
I really wanted to ultimately direct my own films, but I really wanted to cast. I really wanted to get into casting.
Okay. What college did you really want to go to for the film?
I probably would have, I really wanted to go to NYU or UCLA. I probably would have stayed with NYU if I had applied. I was too afraid to, just because it was on the East Coast and I would have had a level of familiarity. But again, moving to New York City or even to LA by myself, not knowing anyone, not knowing anything, was really intimidating. And so I didn't pursue it.
Was it a gut feeling or just fear-based?
Fear.
Okay.
Not being able to achieve what you want to achieve. And then what does that look like? What does failure look like? It may take you into other avenues of life. It may take you into the unexpected, maybe turn you onto something that you never would have thought to pursue before. But ultimately, it's fear of failure.
So that just breaks it down that we all have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same thing, yeah.
Yep, and it's like a regret in my life because I feel like I could have done more. I could have been more by now. And it's really bothering me that I didn't pursue certain opportunities that were afforded to me that could have taken me in another direction. And for whatever reason, boys, jobs, fear, just didn't do it.
How did you come to the point in your life where you're like, you know what? I think I've had enough. I'm ready for a new segment of my life, or I'm ready for a change.
So as my kids have grown up, I now have one who's graduated high school, one who's in high school, and my parents have lived in Florida for almost 30 years, and I've always continued my life away from them, and it's probably been on my mind in the last couple of years to relocate to Florida to be closer to my family as they get up in their years and they age and they start to have some health problems. So I started to think about that and thought about what kind of job I could land down here if I were to relocate. And the only jobs that I could find that I was qualified for would be medically based jobs. So I started a couple of years ago to build my experience in the medical field. And over time, I think that has told me that I no longer want to do that type of work. So I'm looking to relocate to Florida and start fresh and hopefully pursue some other goals that I might have. I would like to get more involved in activist causes. I've been applying for some nonprofit jobs and trying to get involved in some of the activism that's going on here in Florida and around the country. Another thing is I'd like to get more involved in film and television production. Maybe go back to that, maybe do some other things. But ultimately, I think as I retire, I would like to just do something that I enjoy, which would be, I would ultimately like to design my own clothing line and to own a boutique where I could sell vintage style clothing and my own clothing out of that store.
And I never knew that about you, about the clothing line thing.
I've never really been into too high into designer fashion, but over time, as I've grown older and I've gone to concerts and shows and upper scale events where you've had to dress for things, I know what I like and I can't find it anywhere. So I'd rather just design it myself. I've never considered myself an artist, which is probably why I didn't pursue the film direction when I had the opportunity, because I never viewed myself or view myself in life as an artist.
But you are.
But it's something that I've always aspired to be. I think I had a certain skill set that I was comfortable with, that I just let myself go along with because it paid the bills. And now I'm looking to step back and say, okay, I've done what I've needed to do to pay the bills and get my kids, raised and going with their goals. And now what am I going to do with the rest of my time? And I do want it to be in a more creative role. I would like to work for myself. I don't want to be boxed into working for other people. And I have my own ideas that I'd like to pursue.
Now that you say you had lived your life fear-based in some aspects, what would you say advice for people in your position that are transitioning and still like kind of in that transition mode where they've raised their kids and now their kids are older and they're ready for a change? What advice would you give them?
I would always just say to someone to work towards your passions, whatever they may be. Don't give them up. Even if you have to put them to the back of your mind or section off a little corner of your mind to focus on it or to keep it fresh, don't ever stop working towards what makes you happy.
True. So sorry.
Yep.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
you, Steph. I'm
You're
so happy to interview you. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to see more of Purpose. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.